I'm going to show how I draw these kinds of lips and mouths as per requested. So you first start with a little line that's like sort of curved. This is like a very simple type of lip, and depending on how thick or thin you want the lip sizes to be, you draw two curves on the opposite sides of each other. The upper one should be smaller, whereas the bottom one should be bigger. And then after you've done the lips, and remember to draw the curved line lightly, you make the sides, the corners of the mouth darker. Then you shade in the insides of the mouth, and you shade it in one consistent line and in one consistent shade, depending on how light or dark you want the lips to look like. These are very simple lips, so it's going to be one colored lip, so I'm making it very light. And you shade it on one consecutive way on one side of the lip, and after you're done shading it in, you blend it in. I'm using my finger to blend it in, but I suggest not using a finger. I suggest using a Q-tip or one of those blenders. I just don't have any of that at the moment. And after you're done blending in, you make the inner lines darker and make the lip shape more, and make sure to have the little bend in the middle, and you have highlights on both the sides. Over here, I'm going to show how to draw an open lip style. Like, you can show the teeth in this. So you draw it as normal, but you have a sort of curved like lines as are shown right here. There should be two lines. And if you want it to smile, if you want it to be smile, you know how to draw a smile, a bent curve downwards and a bent curve upwards for the up and bottom lip. And once you've drawn that shape and you've made the corners darker, which you use little curves to make it darker, then you draw in a straight line sort of from both sides of the corner, and you make it light, and then you put in a little more teeth details into it. I like to draw vampire teeth to most of my lips, so I put those carnivorous teeth in, and make sure to make it darker. And you can even put lighter lines in the middle to imitate different types of teeth. You can also make it detailed by putting in shadows in where you want the teeth to be. If they have like gnarly teeth, or they have like a middle to baby teeth or something like that, it's really easy to do that with shadows. And then you color in the shades more than like you usually would. For this one, I wanted to give it sort of like a little darker, like a lipstick kind of feel to it. So from the bottom part of the lip to the upper part, you start dark and you go all the way up, and you do the same for the bottom part as well. And once you've done doing that shade, you just blend it out, and it has this nice contrast with them. And once you're done, you sort of shapen out the lips, because with the shading and everything and the blending, the lines of the lips will start to disappear a little. So you just darken that, and then you put the highlights in. Now I'm going to show a sort of lip biting sort of mouth, and I will make it a little darker to show how I draw darker colored lips, or just with darker lips. So it's very simple, as we did with the open mouth, the open teeth one. You just draw the upper curve, but when you're drawing the bottom part, you sort of draw it at the line where you would put the teeth in, and make sure to connect it to the corners of the lips, because that's where the lips are coming in from. And you basically put in where you want your bite to look like. I want to give it vampire teeth as always, and from wherever the teeth are biting from, you draw these sort of lines, like they're getting bit on, like fold lines. And you make sure to make the parts darker, and you draw the lip curves as you usually would, and make sure to make the corners especially look like they're blended in. It does not look right now, but it will eventually. And you draw in little teeth if you want to, and you shade as normal. To do darker tones, you could like shade it in darker than you usually would, but I like to have like this sort of contrast in the tones, so I go a little darker than usual, and then I blend it out before I do any more shading. And so I blend it out nicely, and then from where the teeth are to the other side, to the upper part of the lips or the bottom part of the lips, you start with a darker shade and you start darkening it as you go. And for me, with darker lips, I try to layer it on top, so I'll do one dark shade at a time, another dark shade at a time, so just like I'm doing right now. So like darken it up and then you blend it out. Remember, after you blend it out, to draw in the lip lines, because they've definitely gotten smudged, and if there is some shadowing on the teeth that coming from the lips that you don't want it to be there, you can always just erase it. Make sure to have that little bump on the bottom, on the upper lip, because that's how lips are shaped, and so it looks a little more realistic. And you have your highlights, and that's how a darker lip that looks like it's bitten on. Make sure to have like little curves or bumps with the line, so it looks more realistic that it's biting.